Hello. Welcome back to Module 2, Foundations of American Governance. Today, in this fourth section, we will discuss a key concept of the American Revolution, the right to alter or abolish an unjust government. This will be the first portion of this topic, while the second will actually be Section 10. The Declaration of Independence asserts that human beings have a right to live under good laws. One of the objections found in the document was that King George had, quote, refused his assent to laws most wholesome and necessary. End quote. The founders believed if humans are denied a government of good laws, then they have a right to dissent. Locke said, the reason why men enter into society is the preservation of their property, and the end why they choose and authorize a legislative is that there may be laws made and rules set as guards and fences to the properties of all the members of the society, to limit the power and moderate the dominion of every part and member of the society. Whensoever the legislative shall transgress this fundamental rule of society, and either by ambition, fear, folly, or corruption, endeavor to grasp themselves, or put into the hands of any other an absolute power over the lives, liberties, and estates of the people, by this breach of trust they forfeit the power the people had put into their hands, and it devolves to the people, who have a right to resume their original liberty, and, by the establishment of a new legislative, such as they shall think fit, provide for their own safety and security. This right can take several forms. One of them is peaceful reform. We discussed the signing of the Magna Carta in sections 1 and 2 of this module, so we will not spend much time on this pivotal event. Suffice to say, the document limited monarchical power. Or, the right to rebel can take armed resistance to tyranny. The English Civil War was actually 3 conflicts fought from 1642 to 1651. King Charles I believed he had a divine right to rule and was not answerable to Parliament or his subjects. Parliament demanded the king cease his arbitrary reign, and Charles dismissed the elected representatives, ruling as the absolute authority for 11 years. An uprising in Scotland and a need to raise tax revenue forced the Crown to reconvene Parliament, but the two entities remained divided over government reform and religious issues. The political struggle turned violent, and royalist and parliamentarian forces took to the battlefield. Charles was captured, tried for high treason, and executed in 1649. His son, who was proclaimed Charles II, was defeated in 1651 and fled to Europe in exile. He would be restored to his throne in 1660. Furthermore, the Glorious Revolution was the overthrow of King James II in 1688 and the succession of his daughter Mary II and her Dutch husband William III. James had ruled for only 3 years, but his policies quickly led to widespread dissatisfaction. There were a number of differing objectives at issue. William sought to keep James from allying with France. Tories and Anglican clergy thought James was undermining the Church of England. Whigs wanted to further limit the power of the Crown, and ordinary British subjects detested James for his Catholic faith. The royal army assembled to fight, but too many officers and men deserted to William's banner. In the end, James was forced to escape to France. William and Mary jointly assumed the throne and signed the English Bill of Rights the following year. We discussed this particular document in Section 2 and will talk more about it in Section 8. With these historical precedents in mind, the right to rebel was used by the American colonists as justification to rise against British monarchy. Jean-Jacques Rousseau had observed, "Let us then admit that force does not create right, and that we are obliged to obey only legitimate powers." This sentiment was reflected in the language Jefferson included in the Declaration: whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government laying its foundation on such principles. Remember that the right to change government requires a subsequent duty to establish a new set of rules in law, not mob rule. We will discuss other forms of altering government in Section 10, but, first, we need to cover several other ideas that are found in the American experiment. Next time. In the next video, we will talk about the social contract, its mutual obligations, and the duties of both citizens and government to society. Until then, thank you for your time. If you want to learn more about the subjects we have discussed, here are the sources used for this section.